One worker actually broke several bones in his body after crashing into the end. From here, the crew would make their way through this enormous blast-proof door where the actual bunker was. This room hasn't been accessible for decades, and only a handful of people have been allowed to enter. After making their way down the slide, the crew would find themselves in the rubber room. From there, they would enter through a passageway and into the blast room, a dome-shaped room featuring 20 chairs that the crew would strap themselves into. The dome itself was made out of super thick steel and concrete, capable of surviving a blast pressure of up to 500 psi. To put this into perspective, the blast pressure from an explosion starts to become lethal for humans at around 40 psi. In order to protect everyone inside from the immense shockwaves, the entire floor was floating on a series of 24 giant springs. These disconnected the room from the surrounding concrete, meaning the vibrations had less material to travel through. The blast from an explosion could cause an acceleration of up to 75 Gs, roughly double what you'd expect to feel in a car crash. These springs would absorb most of that acceleration and reduce it to just 4 Gs, keeping the crew inside perfectly safe. But if a large explosion occurred, it would create a shockwave so immense that it would travel all the way down the slide in an instant and kill the crew inside. That's where these enormous blast-proof doors came in. Made from several inches thick steel, these doors would seal the crew inside and protect them from the shockwaves. These could be locked from either side by turning a wheel which caused 8 giant pins to hook into the wall. Once the crew were locked inside, they would remain in their seats and wait until the danger had passed. But with up to 20 people in a sealed room, the carbon dioxide levels would quickly start to rise and breathing would become very difficult. And so, to treat the air, a carbon dioxide scrubber was placed in the center of the room. This machine worked by passing the ambient air through a special filter, which would attract the CO2 molecules and separate them from the air. The clean air was then pumped back out of the machine, keeping the CO2 levels low. In order to create more oxygen, there was a supply of oxygen candles, which would burn iron powder and sodium chlorate at around 600 degrees to produce oxygen. For every 1 kilogram of mixture inside,